Good morning. Oh,
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Well, I guess you're in Europe as well.
yeah, evening here.
Same over here. How's the dog doing?
Oh, she's doing well. She had her second day of dog school today, doing very nicely. And we're getting to the point where we can sleep the whole night, and she only pees inside once or twice a day.
What kind of breed is it?
She's a golden doodle,
Oh, awesome.
so
Does she look a bit like that guy?
uh,
Hmm.
not yet. She's three quarters poodle and one quarter golden retriever,
Awesome.
and on the
Yeah,
smaller side.
yeah, he is pretty small as well.
Yeah,
Yakov told me that he'd be 10 minutes late, so
yeah,
we'll just
yeah.
have
I
to
saw
wait
that
a bit.
we have a lot going on there, so I thought I'd join in. I'll probably mostly be listening, but it seems very interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, let's wait for him because most talking points are his, and then we can go over the ceremony and get right into it.
Yeah, and I'll jump on mute for a moment and be right back, I guess. By the way, is this part of the meeting also on the recording on YouTube in the end?
I think so,
Okay,
but it will probably be stripped out. I I think.
let's see.
Hey, Yakov, welcome.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you? Sorry that
No worries. All right, let's get started with the ceremony part. So by being here, we all agree to the membership agreement, the participation and contribution guidelines, and the code of conduct. Um, let's go around and tell everyone our name. So, hey, I'm Yovi.
You're still muted.
oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Yakov.
Hi, I'm Lens.
All right. Just encouraging everyone to take notes when you're not talking. For we have two talking points from Yakov, and as far as I can see, no action items for anyone present here of the previous meetings. So take it away, Yakov. Go ahead and talk to your points.
Okay. Hi. So the sorry about that. So the first thing I'm just gonna from the agenda just try to copy it into the chat if I can figure it out is it's a pull request about adding some flexibility. So what I mean by adding flexibility around the merging guidelines is that I guess we're an open source repository, an open source project managed under the auspices of um, the GraphQL Foundation, right? We have, I guess, policies. And so what's up there now in recorded in GitHub is that the policy is to wait, that the process for getting something merged involves getting two people to review it and then waiting an additional 2 weeks just to make sure that anybody else who's interested can review it. And so sometimes that can, it's obviously like a balance, I guess, moving too fast and, in a unmeasured direction, maybe some additional feedback we could get from someone else. But on the other hand, sometimes we have a lot of stacked PRs and PRs that aren't, major changes. And so the 2 weeks thing seems to be something that maybe we could add some flexibility around. So in the form of a PR, basically I'm suggesting changing that line to say that for medium size or above changes, it's recommended to wait 1 to 2 weeks. And I use recommended on purpose. I mean that, it's a no hard and fast rule. Like we should use judgment to allow for additional feedback. And so that lowers it to 1 to 2 and changes it to recommendation. And it mentions a call out to like a large change should definitely be discussed at like this meeting. But for small changes, I don't think, once we have reviews, I think we could, make like I'm leaving them purposely vague, I guess, what is a small, medium, or large change, just because I think, the people who have merge rights, would generally, probably have the same, and that adding like examples might cause actually more confusion than clarification. But and I'm not sure what I would think the ideal end state of this would be. Maybe like I might think the ideal end state would be to like drop the merging waiting period completely or something like that, and or maybe having some sort of different process. This is more like thinking about what we can incrementally do to just speed up the process by which we work in GraphQL and the repository. Not in the name of making a large change or trying to figure out what like the perfect solution is, but just a small change that would maybe address some of our velocity issues. So that's for discussion. I thought that this, sort of by design, should definitely be discussed at a GraphQL.js working group meeting, even though I don't know whether it's small, medium, or large, but because it involves, I guess, changing the whole process. And so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
I mean, it definitely makes sense to me. Like, there are a lot of tasks, like bug fixes, everything that can go in faster, little performance improvements. Yeah, I mean, I think the main things that would need work are, well, would need waiting time and multiple reviews would be features and things that change spec behavior.
Maybe we could add large or potentially controversial changes.
Yeah. Let me start. That does make sense. We don't want to cause any controversy, even if it's considered small. That let's see.
Like,
So
I'm not sure if I would go with controversial or impactful.
yeah,
Either one
the
probably
word
would be
controversial
good.
is a little controversial too, right? Large changes must be discussed prior to merging. Large, yeah. I mean, I'll think about the exact language. Very impactful. We all want our small changes to be impactful. No one wants to merge do non-impactful
I'm,
work.
I'm thinking, or maybe interruptive,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, if you have a suggestion, yeah, you could just hock it on the PR itself, and I
I'll
guess
I'll
we'll
leave some comment
yeah,
there.
that's a good idea. Yeah. Um, and maybe we could mention, like the GraphQL working group tries to make decisions. The main one, I mean, tries to make decisions by consensus. We can maybe add a line in there that says something like, we always, everything should be done, ideally, by consensus as well. Something like that.
I mean,
I
it's hopefully implied that
Yeah.
discussing it doesn't mean we discuss it, we disagree, and then it's merged.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
I would be curious whether the Linux Foundation has any mandatory steps for these processes, though, because I remember when we were
that is a
checking
good
out
question.
joining. Sorry,
Sorry, let me mute myself. Yeah, I'm just agreeing. That's interesting.
I remember when in Preact we were exploring JSF. I know there were some requirements about processes, so we should double check that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I guess we can make that an action item if we want for next time.
Yeah.
I guess I'll take that, seeing as it's on my PR, unless
I have it in the
unless
notes.
you'd like to. Yeah.
All good. Can take it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay. I mean, so I don't have much to add. I think we'll look into those two things, the exact language, maybe adding, and what required processes, and then hopefully in the interim we can get this PR merged.
But does it have 2 reviews and 2 weeks of wait time?
That's an interesting question. It's a meta question. Does the PR changing? I don't know. Yeah, but
Also,
I think it'll work out.
also one idea, small, medium, large is very open worded. Could we go for a Semver reference, like a distinction between patch changes and feature changes? On the other hand, that doesn't. At least I wanted to say it loud, but it doesn't sound good to me.
Well, I think part of it sounds. I mean, anything that would cause a breaking change would not necessarily be controversial, but it would definitely need to be like discussed as part of a broader
Yeah.
discussion. So we could have some language like even if it's not a breaking change, something we can make call out to those issues. But we wouldn't want to say that you can just ignore everything for a large change that re-architects everything, but doesn't any change is not observable, I guess. Yeah, it's exactly.
Right. I think we have our action items from my side. Good to move on.
That sounds good to me. So moving right along. So so I put in all the link. This is a reference to the second agenda item. So I put down for like 30 minutes of discussion, but I'm not really sure. It's more like a question that I have. We have so I'm just going to review just to make sure that I have the situation right. We have our main branch, which used to be the default branch and currently contains the code for v17, a little bit beyond the latest released alpha, but not that majorly beyond. And then we have v16.x, which is which is now our default branch, which represents our most recently released branch with some fixes, and obviously the most, I would hope, the most widely used branch, as opposed to the earlier versions, and certainly as compared to the alpha. Now, because of the long lag time, I guess, that we've had the alphas sitting around for v17, there's been a lot of fixes and even feature work on the v16 branch, and that's why we made it the default branch, from my understanding. Especially, we thought it might be easier for people to work on new fixes with that one. Or at least that was one consideration. And so there became a question of how to keep these two things in sync, meaning the latest, all the fixes from v16 and v17 alpha. So just to add the background, from what we've, I think, been able to gather, there's basically 3 PRs that of discrepancy, and then there was an additional issue of like, in my mind, there's there's a practical question, meaning we have like 2 PRs open to figuring out how to like move forward and get this stuff into main. One is to do like a merge commit, and one is to just continue, manually synchronizing. There's only 3 of them left. That's basically the 2 approaches that we have. But I just want to ask, like what is there an additional issue that I'm missing that we're trying to achieve, like in like discussing these 2 approaches? Is there something I'm missing, like one of our like an additional goal, like in terms of how we want the v16 and v17 branches to relate to each other? Because otherwise I think the 2 are kind of equivalent. Just the question is whether we use like merge or into main or not. But maybe there's some other thing that I'm missing. So basically, it was a call for questions and to open the discussion, just to make sure, like, so that we can eventually, discuss and either merge one of these 2 approaches, 4165 or 4166, and move on. So I'm not sure. So, I mean, one thing that was raised in the discussion, for example, is whether we're properly giving credit to the people that worked on the v16 branch. So I think in my PR 4166, where we like forward port the fixes from v16 to v17, it does save the additional commit authors. But I didn't find a direct way to get like my name off of it. I think it says like the change was authored by the original author and then committed by me. I don't see a way to take my name off. But it could be that I just don't know how. But I don't know. I mean, that's not too different than all the stuff that was backported. But obviously, it's longer lived, if it's going to be living in main, and maybe that's not ideal. So we could suggest moving the default branch back again to v17. All of that, may depend on how long we think, which another discussion of how long we think v17 is going to still remain an alpha before release. But I just wanted to make sure, like, besides the credit, which I think my solution also, basically satisfies, is there something else I'm missing? Like, do we want the merge, like the diff to really be uh like clean? I'm not sure. Do we really want to rewrite the history with a merge commit, or do we specifically not want to rewrite it? I'm not sure if there's anything like broader that I'm missing about how we want the histories to look.
I mean, a merge commit doesn't rewrite history, it just merges things together. So it's a strategy question, but a merge commit would not hide any contributions. A squash would.
Yeah, I think the main goal from I think it was Stefan and Benji was that we'd have a linear history once we switch over the branch from 16.x.x to main, where like both histories are kind of one and the same, which in our case ends up with a lot of duplicate backport commits. But it does look like main was just built off of 16.x.x. So if people like want to compare the two branches, they can just see like a clean diff of everything that happened rather than all the additional noise that would be there with 16.x.x being ahead and behind at the same time.
Yeah. So that's what I thought was the additional issue. Like, not, but that to my mind, that it does sort of hide what happened. Meaning it doesn't hide any work or any commits. But what happened was that we did branch off V17, when we did, I don't remember, was with 16.4 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then we did some work on 16 and we forward ported it. Meaning what is the goal per se of letting people get rid of all the backports and get rid of all the forward ports? In my mind, that makes it, we're trying to like undo something that actually is going to make it so that when we move main back to the default branch and the one everyone is looking to, it's going to have a nonlinear history, meaning it's gonna have this merge commit in where it's gonna look like something happened that didn't happen. So I mean, that's what I say. It doesn't hide the commits, but it kind of hides the history of what happened. As well as I think it makes the git blame a little bit more difficult. So there's a middle option, which is to do both, meaning to merge both PRs. We could forward port all these things, and that would fix the git blame stuff, and then do the merge commit so that anyone who diffed the 16.x branch and the 17 would see that 16 is not ahead at all. I'm just not sure what the goal of that, like which developers do we think are going to be diffing these branches that aren't going to be helped out by like the release history that we have, and also like the migration guide that hopefully we'll get up there when we actually get ready for a release. Like anyway, my personal preference is to not. I mean, I think we've had in the repository, we've had not had any merge commits on main for a long time, and I think there's something to be said about having keeping a linear history. I think if we break that rule, then we're going to want to break it again, and I think it's best to just not muck with it. But having said that, I would think like the compromise of doing both at least solves the git blame issue. But I'm not terribly convinced that the benefit of what benefit we're getting. Like, so somebody who sits down and like we can even do in our merge commit, like these are the, in our release guide, we can say like, if you would do, a diff, you'll see that 16 is ahead and 17 is also ahead. And that's because they forked at this place, but don't worry, we backported everything and we checked. And then like, that really answers that question. Like, do we have to change the history to explain, to make it look like we we did something we didn't. And another argument is that, let's say we backport any additional fixes to 16.x after we release v17, then 16 is going to be ahead again with one of these backports. So does it, I'm not really sure like what we're going for. It's never going to be exactly in sync unless we promise to stop doing work on 16.
That's true. And in that train of thought, 15 is also ahead of 16. So yeah.
Yeah. So I do think maybe there was a thought at some point that we can sort of get rid of main, not get rid of main, but turn main into a feature branch and make v16 the main branch, the new main. I think that's a reasonable idea. I'm not sure if I thought over all the implications of that, but if we were doing that, then we would want to merge or rebase really. But barring a rebase, we would want to merge. But otherwise, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if I've convinced all of you.
I think changing the contents of an existing branch is always a pain for everybody else who has the repository checked out.
Yeah, so
that's like renaming branches is essentially a no-go.
yeah. So yeah, so then we're not trying to do that. Yeah.
Honestly, what do you think is the most pragmatic and simple approach?
I think the simplest thing would be to just do what we've been doing now and forward. We've been backporting any work that was done on v17, and we just forward port anything that was done on v16 individually. It's not like we forgot those issues. Those issues are left over because we thought we were going to take a different approach in v17. But the truth is we could always forward port them and then still take that additional approach and just use that as a new starting point. And I think that's what's simplest, and that's what we should do.
I mean, I agree in part. There were just very strong feelings from other people in the Discord back then. I personally don't want to discredit their opinion there. Like just overrule their opinion there. I would love to hear from them then as well.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Maybe we should write this out and like tag them on Discord. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I think yeah, that makes sense as the next thing we can do. I mean, there is no rush to deal with these things right away. When I said we should just pick one and move on with our lives, I meant that sort of facetiously. I just meant that we shouldn't let it sit there forever. But yeah, there's definitely no rush. So we can definitely get more feedback, especially if they're the people who felt more strongly about it are not here. That definitely makes sense. So yeah, I mean, that satisfies me. And again, it's really a call to a question, because I feel like there's a lot of things that I don't know, but Git, managing large libraries used by lots of people. So really, I'm phrasing this as trying to pose this as a question. Like, there definitely could be lots of this that I'm missing.
Honestly, I haven't seen two libraries do it the same way, so if there's the right way, it still has to be discovered.
That's the pain, right? There's no clear guide on how to do all of this correctly.
Maintaining a library, YOLO.
Okay, so I guess that's another action item, and that, I guess, ends my my topics here, I give the floor back to the chair.
Well, I think that were all the action items for all the discussion points for today. Unless someone has anything else to say, we can give the time back and go on with our day. All right. Have a nice day, all of you. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Thanks so much.